Hey there. All right, today we're breaking down how do you use AI to write grants faster. This is for those of you that are dabbling in AI, not using it all yet, and my active users. Okay, so I was not a fan. I'm spending hours dabbling with AI only to end up I have a something in my freaking throat. Hey there, in today's video, we're breaking down how do you use AI to write grants faster. This is for those of you that are dabbling in AI, not using it at all, and even my active users. Okay, so this is what I found. I was spending hours dabbling with AI only to end up rewriting everything myself. Was not a fan. And I knew that AI would make grant writing easier, but I was not unlocking that efficiency, and it was a very frustrating experience. As co-founder of the Grant Writing Collective, I feel a personal responsibility to have overcome these challenges because we are at the front end of leading, modern grant writing looks like. And so I dove right in and I was like, we have got to solve this. These were my frustrations and ones I heard from you, which is like, okay, how do you actually make AI your advantage, not your replacement? How do we make it so it doesn't sound like AI wrote it because nothing is worse than that. And, we know there's this promise of efficiency and that feels really exciting, but also there's these kind of this ethical dilemma and also this perception potentially like, am I cheating? And I have found that most grant writers are very conscious of our footprint. And so there's this fear of the environmental costs, picturing data server farms, et cetera. And then finally, probably the number one thing I hear about is what about data privacy and security? So the question I really had to ask myself was, how do we become more efficient grant writers without feeling like you're on a hamster wheel, just doing more and more and more? Because I'm not trying to turn you into a machine. You know our ethos if you know anything about us, and it's about building a life you love, not grinding away on a computer forever and ever. I discovered that there's two traps keeping grant writers frustrated. One, you're told just to casually like go try ChatGPT and use it. But if you don't have the structure on how to use it well, you're wasting your time. Two, there's a proliferation of people trying to basically build software to help grant writers. I mean, an inundation of it. And the reality is you're wasting time using those tools, and I'll explain why. I can say this because we built one. Oh, excuse me. My phone is supposed to be on do not disturb. Alice is calling actually. Okay, so we built Unicorn Copilot. It was a software specifically built for members of the collective to use AI internally. And at the same time, that same technology was being used by Chris. It's that guy that was just in the last photo. He was using AI to write grant applications and absolutely slaying it. They got to the point where they were writing 40 complex grants up in Canada with just two grant writers per month. They were doing 100-hour plus applications in 4 hours. They made 750,000 in their first year with no experience in nonprofits or grant writing, and they made a 70% profit on average per grant they were consulting. If this doesn't make you think, yep, that's it. I'm convinced like grant AI is going to take my job. Well, hold the phone. Because despite our wins, despite the progress, we learned a lot. And we discovered you don't need AI specific software for grant writers. Here's what we discovered. We can't compete with the budgets of OpenAI, Google, Bard, you name it. And what I discovered is when most people are getting really frustrated no matter what tool you use, if you lack the foundational skills and understanding of how to use AI effectively. Secondly, literally a pro membership with ChatGPT is $20 a month versus the software fees of 90 to 350 a month plus if you're paying for like a special package. So rest in peace, late last 2024, we put Copilot to bed. And we also, at that same time, we're transitioning to 2025. And that was when I had this other aha, which is that your window to comfortably learn AI is getting shorter and shorter fast. So what I mean by that is if you remember from economics class in high school or college, here's the technology adoption curve. We are out of the early adopter phase. We are now entering mass adoption, meaning at that tipping point, using this tool is no longer an option. It is a competitive requirement. And so what I'm finding is that we have these really big technology gaps that are happening. I mean, the chasms are huge. Businesses are adopting AI far faster than nonprofits are, And the larger nonprofits are adopting far faster than the smaller nonprofits. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see how the downstream effects are going to look. So what I have found is that 6 months ago, you could dabble in ChatGPT or Claude or whatever and call yourself AI savvy. But today, I got grant writers in my collective. They're building custom GPTs, they're crafting prompts like pros, they're automating workflows that are totally cool. And meanwhile, I got this whole other world of grant writers on the outside who are still thinking about it and how do we want to use AI intellectually, but not really getting into it. And they're about to face a harsh reality of like what happened to our competitive advantage. Now, look, I'm not a doom and gloomer. If you know me, I'm a very optimistic person. And what I want for you isn't to feel like you have to do this because you need to, or you should, or I'm gonna get left behind. It's that when you have those light bulb moments, and for those of you that are using AI actively, you know what I'm talking about. Like you are transformed. It becomes addicting. You can't imagine life without AI because you're seeing these magical moments. So that is why we created the AI Bestie method so that you're getting the foundational skills for using AI effectively, and it'll forever transform how you work. So here's some of the ways that that is manifesting. Number one, I'm going to turbocharge how you do grant research, how you find grants, show you exactly how to get AI to write well the first time so you're not dealing with crappy drafts, turn you into a prompt engineer, save tons of time on every one of your grant proposals, and then you get into the really like advanced jujitsu moods that are really cool, like take a 200-page NOFO from a federal grant and build a narrative outline in 10, 15 minutes. So let's walk through what this process looks like. So there's 5 stages to how I have structured the AI Besties grant writing course. So you can go from wherever you are to pro in 30 days or less. So let's start with the first one, which is meeting your AI besties. So if you've ever been frustrated or underimpressed by AI, turns out you're probably the problem. So what I find is that people ask these like one sentence prompts, they're big, simple, instructions. You're not training AI on how you want things done. You're repeating yourself a lot. You don't realize that there's so much more you could be doing beyond writing the first draft. And this will make you go crazy because your writing is generic. You end up rewriting it. It's not going to capture your unique voice. And if you're rewriting it, then you're not getting any time savings, right? So what you can do instead is, did you realize you can actually become the manager, the director of a whole virtual team instead of wearing all those hats yourself? And that is why we built you the 4 AI besties. So what that looks like is it's great. Custom GPTs are cool. But if you're not actually getting to customize it for your nonprofit or your client and your writing style, then it's actually going to be a little bit limited. So I give you all the knowledge files, all the instructions to build these custom GPTs yourself in all of the main tools, Claude, Gemini, um, Perplexity, ChatGPT, etc. And you will get these 4 to start with because they're the ones that we found the most useful. Okay, then we roll into prompting like a pro. So if you've ever heard the word like you need to become a prompt engineer and you think like I'm not going back to college for that, that sounds time consuming. I get it. But here's the thing, it's providing instructions and that's not that bad. But it's in the nuance. The devil is in the details truly. So you've got a prompt problem when you never even told your AI what success looks like. You didn't give examples. You just dove right in and you're now down a bunch of rabbit holes without like zooming out and really thinking about how you're approaching this. You're confusing your AI because you don't know how to format your material. You don't know how to format your prompts. You gave lousy context using jargon, all these things. Like there's all these traps you can fall in. And the way out of this is understanding there are 6 components to a prompt. You got to know how to think through the workload before you start. There's some incredibly simple party tricks you can deploy that completely transform the results you get. From there, that's why like if there's only one thing you ever learned from me, it would be this. Like this would be the module. It will forever change not just how you use AI to write grants, but just how you use AI in general. So all of that is here. Then we roll into AI Research Mastery, Module 3. So if you've ever wondered, can AI help me find grants? Here's my hot take. It is ineffective to use AI only to find grants. I would always recommend starting with instrumental. This is the hill I will die on. They're by far the best software when it comes to grant prospecting. But there's some really cool things you can do when you actually like export your shortlist and do some other deep dive research, because as we all know, research is time consuming. So what I find though, when it comes to research, whether we're using it on the front end of can I find grants or research for like the technical science, data that I want to use in my grant narrative, there's a lot of fears around is AI just making things up, which is a legit concern because large language models literally just predict the next right thing to say. Or, what tools should I use? I've heard about Perplexity, or should I use Gemini Deep Research? And then there's often a lot of fears around plagiarism. So I can address all of that in here. Show you the 4 types of research that most grant writers are going to need. This gets you like 95% of the way. Show you how to use Perplexity, Gemini Deep Research, and then we built Riley, the researcher, in Claude because my team, or a lot of people really like Claude over ChatGPT. I might need to make the switch myself. I've been more of a ChatGPT girl, but I think I might be convinced to flip teams. Anyway, so that's that. Now we go into the grant prep lab. So what I find is that if you want to be more efficient, which pretty much every single person I talk to does, then it's important to understand the difference between augmentation and automation. So augmentation is when AI is working alongside you. It's kind of like your coworker right there. They're helping you with edits, summarizing research, brainstorming, writing, all of that. Automation is when AI is actually doing things for you completely. So some examples would be, we're literally having a call on this next week for my advanced mastermind. Like, okay, I have a meeting with a client, it's a kickoff call, and then I'm going to take the action items from the Fathom summary and I could automate using Zapier those tasks getting inputted into my project management software. We use Asana, but whether you use ClickUp, Notion, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then boom, those tasks are already there. Because you know what makes a great grant writer? You have to be a good project manager, and that stuff is time consuming, and sometimes like it's easy to not be, it's easy to be a little sloppy, and this solves that. The other aspect of the grant prep lab is that, and if you know, you know, almost no one is actually like truly grant ready. Am I right? So this allows you, Penny, the project manager, is your GPT here that's going to help you make sure, like, are we actually prepped all the way? Do we have, like, are we in a situation where we're going to be truly competitive? And in here is where I also talk about building your own data privacy policy. I actually have some information on this that I'm happy to give you for free if you want it, but like this is an important question a lot of people have, and this is where we talk about it. And then finally, like the juiciest question of them all, am I right? Are grant writers even going to be needed in the future? Why bother? Now, here's what I know to be true. Grant writing is time consuming. Grant writers are busy, especially when it's but one part of what you actually do. I'm going to guess that you're not really making the time that you know you should be to be actually building relationships with your funders. And I know you're operating on a crazy shoestring budget. So when you ask, is AI going to take my job? My answer is you need it to take some of your job so you can focus on the critical activities that only you can do. And the flip side of that is the only way that you know if AI is doing a good job or not is you still have to fundamentally be a good grant writer because you need to know what excellence looks like. That leads us into module 5, which is like, you might come as a surprise that I'm not actually teaching you how to use AI to write grants until the very end. And it's because this is literally but one thing that you can do with it. But this is going to cover everything from writing simple letter of inquiries to complex federal grants. And you're going to get to meet Ellie, the editor, who can help review your work and provide that independent quality control review. Okay, here's what I see though that's keeping people from still taking action, even though you know you need to. You think that you can basically get by going to free webinars, reading on the internet, watching some YouTube videos, and that's going to be enough. Sometimes there's this attitude, right? A mindset blocks, lack of trust, lack of understanding of AI. There's so many misnomers around the environmental costs, for instance. Did you know that you would have to have 7,000 searches in ChatGPT for the equivalent of one hot shower? I mean, that's like, it's been a little bit over sensationalized on the internet, let's just say. Think it's going to take so much time, you're time poor, so you continue to do things manually. This leads you to obviously like continue to not use AI, or you're dabbling, but you're not really taking yourself seriously and going pro. And I'm telling you, the only way you're going to break free from this very vicious cycle is you have to recognize that your relationship to computers is changing. It's going to be a completely different relationship about how you think about work. And we got to get to that place. So casual dabbling worked up till 2024, but it is no longer an effective approach to doing your job faster and easier. If you follow the AI bestie method I teach, you're going to be confidently using AI way more effectively. My grant writing unicorns, right? Members of the grant writing collective, they are slaying it. They're writing grants in 2 hours instead of 2 days. They know how to train AI to sound like them. They're cutting research down to days to minutes, doing really innovative things. Just their whole mindset and approach is it's really cool, really positive. And I'm going to give you a quick case study on that. So here's Caroline. She's found her first light grants. So she had been dabbling, right? She'd been using ChatGPT, and she was just giving these like vague one-line prompts, hoping it would like write like her, right? You can pause my recording and read it. And then she took the course and it flipped the script. And this is where you should actually pause and read this whole thing. So she built custom GPTs to do a whole litany of things for her, and she'll sell you. Her responses are 90% of the way there on the first try now, which is freaking awesome. And what I specifically like is this part I underlined, which is that we hear all the time about how powerful AI is, but the AI Besties course gave me the tools to actually harness that power, which is exactly why we built it. And as a side quest on Caroline, so she recently left her subcontracting gig for a full-time job that she just couldn't turn down. And that consulting firm actually called us completely crushed. They didn't realize she was even looking for a new job. I actually gave her the recommendation for it. I will refer anyone in the collective. I have a 100% success rate on people getting a job. But anyway, so they're like, we need more talent like her. Where can we get her? More people. That is the power of our training, our community, and our reputation for keeping people on the cutting edge of grant writing. So if you're ready to go pro, yes or yes, let's talk about it. So that's why we built the AI Besties grant writing course. It's built for grant writers by grant writers. But remember, like what you learn here, you're going to apply to everything you use for grant writing. And if you want to go pro in 30 days or less, truly, this is available to you. This is how it's done. So first thing, it's an online course filmed in studio. It's the best work I've ever done. But this is no AI 101 fluff that you're going to find on Coursera. This is very step by step. Second, when you complete all of your course modules, do the assignments, pass the final exam, you are eligible to receive a professional AI grant writing certificate, which is a fantastic piece of collateral for your LinkedIn profile. And three, if you're like, okay, I'm stuck, I got questions, you can actually ask the Q&A in the comments. But if I'm telling you we don't, to keep the price low, this does not include live coaching and all of that like we usually do. And if you want that immersive experience, you want to be collaborating with people that are on the front end, then you've got to join the Grant Writing Collective directly, where we have a private peer mastermind. That, my friends, is the AI Besties Grant Writing course. So what does it cost? I'm sure you're wondering. So pay in full is $569. This is the most popular. People just, pay for it once. You've got access for a year. The payment plan just breaks it down into 2 months. So basically $569 divided by 2. And as a reminder, you're going to have a custom GPT, your version of Winnie the Grant Writer, running by the end of the day. And then by tomorrow, you're going to have 100% improvement in how you're currently prompting. You're going to be so much more pleased with the AI writing because you're going to know what to do to get it, all the templates, all the how-to manuals, get your certificate, and honestly, you're forever going to change how you work. If you're thinking, because I know many of you are, I see the value, but I still can't afford it right now. I just want to anchor you a little bit in what the cost is in not learning how to use AI effectively. Is it going to be your job at some point? How much grant money are we leaving on the table? Especially because other people are freeing themselves up and they are prioritizing relationship building. How much more overwhelming is this skill going to get to learn as time goes on, where you have to learn it really, really fast versus being able to do it comfortably right now? And the membership to the Grant Writing Collective is $6,000 a year. I've got people that stay with me for years and years, most do. And this is the only way you can access Learn Grant Writing teachings outside of the collective at a very affordable price. So if you've got questions, hit me up, email info@sendworks.org. Otherwise, I'll see you on the inside. Talk to you later.